Every year, roughly 1,300 people die documented deaths crossing the Sahara. And once a vehicle breaks down in summer and the air conditioning stops, fatal core body temperature can set in within 2 to 3 hours. Not days, hours. Yet groups of tourists keep driving into this desert without guides, without convoy support, armed with nothing but a rented SUV and a downloaded map. What search teams eventually find tells the same story every time. The Sahara does not wait for days to test travelers. Once a vehicle fails and air conditioning shuts down, the countdown begins. In summer, sand surface temperatures can reach 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Air inside a stalled car quickly climbs above 130. The body's core temperature starts rising the moment the cooling stops. Within 2 to 3 hours, fatal heat stroke can set in. Every year, about 1,300 people are recorded dead along these routes. It is not a slow fade or a distant threat. The desert's physics compress survival into hours. The car, for all its technology, is just a thin shell against that reality. When it breaks, protection vanishes and the margin for rescue shrinks to almost nothing. In the Sahara, time collapses. Survival is measured not in days, but in the brief window before the desert's heat overtakes the human body. In a border town on the edge of the Moroccan Sahara, a small group of tourists stands beside a rental SUV, preparing for a journey few locals would attempt alone. The fuel station attendant, an older man with years of desert experience, offers a warning that is more practical than dramatic. He recommends joining a convoy, insists on a GPS transponder, and asks for a written route plan. The advice is specific. The desert is not a place for improvisation, but the travelers, confident in their downloaded Google Maps and the promise of four-wheel drive, wave off the caution. They point to their phones, certain that digital maps and a full tank make them ready for the crossing. The attendant's refusal to sell extra fuel without proof of a travel plan only hardens their resolve. With a few impatient words, the group loads up, convinced that technology and determination will see them through. The decision is made not in the heat of crisis, but in the cool shade of a gas station, ordinary, almost casual. That confidence, so easy in town, will soon collide with the realities of the Sahara. Heat in the Sahara is not just a threat to people, it is a relentless force that destroys machines. On unpaved erg routes, where the sand reflects and radiates the sun's energy, surface temperatures can reach 170 degrees Fahrenheit. The air itself hovers near 130 degrees. These numbers are not theoretical. They define the limits of what a standard SUV can endure. Most factory-built radiators are designed for paved highways, not for the abrasive, powder-fine sand of the Sahara. When a vehicle drives too fast across soft dunes, sand clogs the undercarriage, smothering the radiator's airflow. The coolant heats up, pressure builds, and within 40 to 60 miles, the system can fail. Once the radiator boils over or a hose bursts, the engine seizes, and the car becomes just another stranded shell. The traveler's confidence in their vehicle, so firm at the border, now collides with physics. On these routes, ordinary driving habits erase the margin for survival. The SUV is not a fortress against the desert. It is a system with a breaking point, and the desert finds it quickly. Search teams in Algeria and Niger have developed a grim familiarity with the pattern. Vehicles stranded deep in the Sahara are often found with fuel still sloshing in the tank, but their cooling systems are wrecked, radiators blown, hoses ruptured, coolant gone. The cars tell the same story. Drivers pushed on at highway speeds, the sand choking airflow, until the engine seized. Fuel was never the problem. The desert's heat destroys engines long before the gas runs out. What happens next is determined not by the dashboard, but by the body. Once the car stops moving, the numbers become simple and brutal. In open desert, a person loses about 1 to 1.5 liters of sweat every hour. For a group of 3, with 10 liters of water between them, that means less than 3 hours before everything is gone. There's no way to stretch it, no trick, no shortcut. When the last drops are gone, dehydration begins to shut down the body. The arithmetic is unforgiving. The mechanical collapse of the vehicle becomes the human collapse almost immediately. In the Sahara, survival is not a matter of luck or willpower. It is a matter of physics, measured in liters and hours. A shortcut appears on the satellite map, straight, promising, and just a few pixels away from the marked piste. The travelers, eager to shave off distance, turn away from the painted oil drum markers that Tuareg guides have set out for decades. On the screen, the desert looks navigable, every faint track an invitation. But on the ground, the shortcut is a trap laid by physics, not by chance. 11 kilometers from the main route, the SUV sinks axle deep into powdery sand, its tires spinning uselessly. The vehicle is no longer a tool, but a prison, stranded far from any help. Rescue teams find it days later, marooned in an empty sea of dunes. The only sign of the shortcut is the digital line that led them here. Visible from space, impossible on Earth. In the Sahara, even the best technology cannot replace the lived knowledge of the land. Search teams across the Sahara have a name for what comes next: the walk. When a vehicle fails and hope of rescue fades, stranded travelers often make the same decision: leave the car and set out on foot. The logic feels simple in the moment. The horizon looks close, the air shimmers, and the mind, already strained by heat, insists that salvation might be just a little farther on. But in the open desert, distance is a trickster. Flat terrain and the relentless shimmer erase any sense of direction or scale. People begin to walk, convinced they can reach help, yet rescue teams find them lifeless only 3 to 5 kilometers away from their vehicle. These are not vast distances. The car, even broken, is the last fixed point of survival: a shelter, a signal, a stockpile of supplies. Once abandoned, it becomes almost impossible to return. Every year, the same pattern repeats. The walk away from the vehicle is the single worst decision, turning a desperate situation into a fatal one. The desert is not cruel, it is exact. It offers one last chance, and leaving it behind ends the story. Phones recovered from stranded vehicles often hold a silent record of the final hour. The last photos begin with smiles, selfies taken beside the car, faces squinting in the desert sun. A few minutes later, the images shift. Wide shots of endless dunes, the horizon stretching empty in every direction. Then, the mood changes. The next photos show the vehicle half buried, tires spinning in sand, doors open. After that, nothing. No more pictures, no frantic videos, no calls. The camera roll stops abruptly, just as the situation turns from inconvenience to crisis. In the Sahara, the digital trail ends long before search teams arrive. Along the Agadez-Libya corridor, the Nigerian military has counted more than 5,000 bodies recovered from the desert between 2005 and 2020. These are not isolated tragedies. Over and over, search teams find vehicles with sealed water bottles, unused flares, and reflective blankets still inside, evidence that supplies outlasted hope. The records turn individual loss into a documented pattern. People abandoned their best chance at survival while resources sat within reach. The scale is staggering, but the details are intimate. A half-full bottle, an untouched emergency kit, a blanket folded on the back seat. The corridor is not just a route, it is a ledger of panic, where the desert's rules remain unchanged and the consequences are written in numbers and names. The Sahara is not a maze set to trap the unwary. Its rules are written in plain sight, enforced by those who know its dangers best. Local guides quote route times down to the hour, not to impress, but to warn. Fuel attendants in border towns refuse to sell extra jerry cans without a travel plan. Border checkpoints are not mere formalities. They exist to stop unsafe crossings before they begin. These measures are not unique to the desert. In the Grand Canyon, rangers post signs at every trailhead: carry water, know your limits, trust experience over apps. The lesson repeats across continents. Extreme environments reward preparation, not bravado. Confidence alone is never enough. Survival depends on listening to those who understand the land, and on respecting boundaries set by reality, not by wishful thinking. Today, satellite maps and SUVs can't rewrite the laws of heat, dehydration, or orientation. The Sahara isn't unpredictable, it's absolute. Every ignored warning, every shortcut, still meets the same reality. Survival here isn't about confidence, it's about respect for limits. The desert waits, unchanged, for the next decision.